Hey teacher friend, welcome back to my channel. I'm Molly and I'm a first grade teacher who helps elementary teachers just like you eliminate stress during literacy time so they can spend more time teaching and less time prepping. This video is not going to be about literacy today because I'm going to be talking to you about my top 5 tips for teachers switching schools. If you haven't heard my teacher burnout story, then I'm going to encourage you to go to my other channel, Molly Wheatley, and I'll leave that in the description box. And you can hear my tips to handle teacher burnout. I'm in my 8th year of teaching and I am sticking it through and loving it. And I think you can too. If you're dealing with burnout, go watch that video, it will help. One of my tips from that video is to switch schools and grade levels, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. If you don't follow me on Instagram on either Literacy Fundamentals or Molly A. Wheatley, please do so because I talk about my journey as a teacher a lot in my Instagram stories. And one of the things I recently revealed is that I am not only switching schools in August, but I am switching grade levels. So I've always taught kindergarten and first grade, and I'm going to fifth. I had the opportunity to switch to my dream school and I took it this year. And when I was offered the job, the principal there said I could have first or fifth grade. And first would have been comfortable. I know how to do it really well. I've done it for all these years, but I decided I want a really big change and I want to do something different. And in my tutoring business, I've had the opportunity to work with fourth and fifth graders, so I feel confident enough to teach upper grades now because of tutoring. Before then, no way in heck I would have thought, I can't do this. I'm used to little kids, so I'm excited to get to use a little more sarcasm and dive deeper into subjects. Am I nervous? A little bit. So if you have any tips for switching grade levels like that, I would love to hear them in the comments. But anyways, this video is going to give you some tips for switching schools because I know it's a really hard thing to do. Before I was a teacher, I actually worked in the banking industry for years and then in the loan industry as well. And I didn't start teaching until I was about 27. So in those jobs, you're allowed to move around. It's not a big thing. Promotions happen all the time. Lateral moves happen all the time. But in teaching, it seems like it's very I don't know what the word would be, but it's hard to move schools. There's some stigma behind it. So I want to dispel any of that today by encouraging you with the tips I'm going to give on how I've done it. So this is my second time moving schools. In the fall, I'll be headed into my 9th year. The first school that I taught at, I thought was probably going to be my forever school, but a series of awful things happened and I won't get into that here, but I have talked about in a previous video on my other channel 10 mistakes I've made in teaching. If you're interested in checking that out, I talk about some of them there. It's also part of my burnout story. So by year 4, I knew I needed to switch schools. 3 out of 4 teachers on my team all left and we just had to get out. So that's part of it. Anyways, let's dive into my tips so that I can help you in case you're thinking about switching schools. This is the time of year when it's happening and you should be equipped and know what you're going to do. If you're watching this at any other point during the year, you can still make it happen. Just put these steps in place early on. Okay, my first tip is to start planning early. The whole saying the early bird gets the worm, absolutely. I will share with you that last year I wanted to switch to the school that I'm headed to, and the principal was very open and honest with me and decided for the 4th grade job I applied for that she was going to hire a teacher that she had already worked with before, but she said she would keep my name at the front of her list, and she did not disappoint. This year, she held on to it and had me come in. I didn't even have to interview. She offered me 1st or 5th grade, and I chose 5th. So planning early on, knowing what you want, and not giving up on it. Just go after it and have a plan. My second tip is to find out if you know anybody in the building you're headed to. And likely, if you have a building you want to go to, you already have a teacher friend there, or you might have a connection. And nepotism is great in the teacher world, and that's often how we get jobs. I hate to say it, but it's true. I mean, the principal's not usually going to come watch you teach a lesson, so they're going to hear about you through other people in your building or people that you know. And my teacher mentor is at my new school. And so, of course, that's how my name got tossed around in the beginning. So find those connections and use them. My third tip is to email the building principal. Express your interest for coming there. Explain why this is your dream school and that you just really want to be there, and explain those whys. And you might get an answer back. Sometimes principals are really good about answering back. Other times they don't. It just depends on their personality. So don't be discouraged if they don't answer back, but they will have seen the email. And so when your name pops up in the application process, they'll think, oh, I remember him or her. She or he sent me this nice email expressing interest. So if they don't have anybody in mind already, that's even better, because then your name will ring a bell with them. And so they won't have to just start from scratch. Okay, number 4, be honest with your building principal. I know this can be especially tough because the first school that I left had a toxic situation, and it was a school where people never left. And because of that, if you wanted to leave, you definitely got a scarlet letter on you. And it was really hard for me to tell that principal that I wanted to leave. It was also in the 4th year, I wasn't tenured, and I was a little bit more of a novice when it came to standing up for myself and defending what I needed to do, what was best for me. So if you have a principal like that, definitely know that I feel for you. It can be really hard, but one of the things about teaching, depending on where you live, that's really tough is that a lot of times we have to tell our building principal that we're wanting to be put on the transfer list. And while I think that's wrong, and my teacher union has done a lot about trying to fix that, it still exists in a lot of places. So if it's a step you have to do it, because you don't want to get blacklisted because you didn't follow the protocol. So be honest with your principal. If they're a good principal, they're going to support you. My current building admin wished me the best and told me they'd be sad to lose me, but they want to support me in any way. And that's what they should say, honestly. And if they don't, then I am sorry and I feel for you. But you have to do what's best for you, and you have to make the right move for you. You can't be miserable staying in a building that's not a good fit for you anymore. All right, my last tip is to not stress about it. Just do what you need to do. Know that the only person looking out for number 1 is number 1, and that's you. So you have to do what you need to do. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 tips for teachers who want to move schools. I would love to hear what has worked for you. So please comment below and tell me if you've moved schools, what grades you've switched to. I want to hear it all. And if there's other people commenting and you want to give advice, please do that as well, because I think it takes a lot of support sometimes, and we don't always find that in our own buildings, but maybe we can find that here online together. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to go check out my other YouTube channel, Molly Wheatley, so that you can see the video on teacher burnout and the top 10 things I wish I had done differently when I started teaching. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.